Hey, folks, welcome to Kaiser's Castle. Take a seat on my big orange couch. The drawbridge is down. Um, Tonight, we have an awesome dude that I'm bringing on, and it's because of my reasons. And my reasons are very simple, folks. I've worked with the guy. We both started out working on together. He started out a different way. He can tell his backstory, what he wants to tell, and that's perfectly fine with me. But we worked for the shittiest old company on the planet. And he knows what I'm talking about and who I'm talking about. You guys will probably never know because I will never discuss this fucking piece of shit company. That's a fact. And we were doing a static gig, raising it actually from the ground up. It was a large project. It was a good project, but just the company was shit. And he went on, and we got together again, and that was 2009. I think it was 2010 going into 11. We got together again working for two different NGOs. It was Democracy International, USAID. Great contract, great company. I believe he was a 2IC. He can correct that if I'm wrong. And I was a TL. I worked up in Pangier. I'll post a picture of what I did in Pangier because I happen to have that. There it is. And that's of me. So don't worry, Bezzah. I'm not going to throw any pics of you. He's currently working now, but he became a consultant just like I did. And we had all done different things by this time. We'd all been, you know, I think I was a project manager before. And then this was a program or a project that I was managing that he consulted on and brought me into. We can talk about that during the stream. And that was it was one of those fucked up contracts I talk about, but we actually had a good time, got together, and beforehand and afterwards, and it was successfully closed out because, like I said, sometimes companies are screwed up. But with that being said, Bezzah, welcome to Kaiser's Castle, brother. Go on and introduce yourself.
Yeah, g'day, Shuff. Thanks so much for putting me onto the show. It's actually, I think it's almost our 10th year anniversary. Um, Chilling and knowing each other as broskies from the shittest old company to everything in between, really.
Yep,
Yeah, no, I think we met around this time in Iraq on the same job.
yep, yep. That's true.
Yeah, that is true. God, it has gone fast. Yeah, no, a little bit about me. Aussie Army went contracting 2007 as the youngest idiot out there down in Kandahar on fuel convoys, and then gave one of the British units a bash, injured myself in training, and left there. And then the next Thursday was out in Iraq, meeting the best, working for the worst. So yeah, I guess we could start a little bit in Iraq. I know a lot of the guys that we keep in touch with are from that contract. You know, what was it, like 2,200 people on it?
Oh hell yeah! It was the most massive contract I think I've ever worked around. They hired me as an armorer for their
Yep.
AKs, and of course never used me as that until one time they had a deficit of firearms and they were in non-compliance. So they said, "Hey, were you bullshitting on your CV?" And I said, "About what?" Yeah, they had me working at an ECP, if I remember right. No, I take that back. I was working at an ADOC.
Hey,
And
Doc, that's right.
yep. And they bring me in there to the arms room, and I'm like, yeah, I can get most of these weapons up. You're going to be down maybe 4 weapons, but I'll just scavenge from the ones we have. But those other
Yeah.
4 weapons needed barrels, and I was like, because they had bullets blocking them and they didn't have the right tools. It's a long story I don't really want to get into because the morons were banging them both ways, so they had compressed the bullets. Anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
the little Ugandans guy they had working in there, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yep,
Yeah, no, I'm remembering. I'm remembering it, lad. They had Filipinos on the vehicle workshop. They had the Ugandan lad working with you.
yep, yep. And it was really hilarious, man. I'm like, yeah, this what we'll do, and this what we'll do. And the guy's like, wow, you really know your stuff. I'm like, what? You think I pad my CV, bruh? I said, I tell you what I can do, and I can do it. And then all of a sudden they put me out in charge of the project on the old Special Forces exit out there. That's all we'll say about it. Going out towards the old listening post that was out there too. A matter of fact, me and Meadsy were talking about it on one of the shows. That little shopping area. I think you probably remember we all went shopping one night and it was fucking crazy, dude. But that's just another story. But yeah, I don't know if you were there or not. I can't remember, but I'm sure you heard about it because it was news back then.
Yeah, you cut out a little bit. Just to tell the viewers, I am in Afghanistan at the moment, working with a humanitarian group for security. So if there's a bit of a cut, I apologise, but it's my job, and I'm out there doing it. Yeah, yeah, a good point that occurred on the shitty SL company. They used to hire people with top secret clearances just to save money. So they hired this person to be in like I think it was like an A doc or a B doc who had a top secret clearance, but they also hired the husband and put him in as a security person, and he was a carpenter by trade, no experience or anything like that. So I mean, man, that was one contract, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember
Um,
that couple. They were fucking a piece of work, bro.
oh, total piece of shit. I mean, I always remember being in the car with him once on an admin move on the base, and he's like, "Hey, I heard about this PSD. I gotta get onto that." And I just looked at him like, "My God, like, dude, you're a civilian carpenter. Like, where do you come from?" So yeah, fun and games on that one for sure, and a thousand stories of just how they were the shittiest old company.
Oh yeah, they had a lot of complete tossers in there. But uh, moving on to the next time we met, it was
Yeah,
the most amazing company we were
that
actually
was
ever worked
yeah,
for.
yeah,
And
that was a good one. Yeah, no, as you were saying to the viewers, um, that you're up in Panjshir. I was down in Kandahar because I'd already been down there. I was
yep,
able to get on the bases. Me, you, and a couple of the other lads actually. Be my team leader, and yeah, no, there's someone else. We got onto the bases, got a ton of med supplies that we just did not have before. And we rocked and rolled. And yeah, I was 2IC. I'd only recently done my CP course. My team leader went pretty much into the invasion of Afghanistan with, I think, the BBC. So wealth of experience, wealth of knowledge, and really good with the clients. So I was more than happy to be the 2IC with that guy, and I felt we did a really good job as you guys did out for the election. It was totally booms and bangs on that one.
and he was an awesome dude to go to Gandermack with. That place was sound.
Yeah, he was entertaining on the juice. I'll give him that for sure. I think he's in South America now, actually. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of work right now down
yeah,
there.
yeah, that's dangerous. Yeah, yeah. So that's lots ahead of him. But yeah, no, as you said, we went from the shittiest old company, and then we moved over to Afghanistan, and I think uh, I think we got to be the best of us kind of thing. We begged, borrowed, and stealed, made sure our teams were good, trained our teams. We were out in the field, so you know anyone that couldn't do the job wasn't there, kind of thing. And I think that was kind of the dream job in some regards. Here we are getting the observers out to make sure that a democracy starts growing, and where those guys on the ground that aren't meant to be in the photos and stuff like that. So no, it was yeah, that was pretty good. That was quite the feather in the cap, so to speak. So
Right.
yeah,
Well, I did in a few shows. I have mentioned the fact that DI, for all of its blust and bluster, I remember telling my clients because as a TL, I was told they're gonna want to take it seriously, make sure to keep them calm on that because in the end they're just gonna throw them away. And I remember when we took them to the intercon, my two clients, um, we got the boxes. We were like, there was like five of our teams there, different teams, and we
Yeah,
were all walking the boxes out to the dumpster. And my clients looked over, and remember they were marked DI, the boxes were,
yeah,
and they went right in the bin. And I said, I told you guys, you took it a little too seriously. And they just rolled their eyes like, really? And yeah, that's. But the point was, we got them back alive. We did not lose one person during
yeah,
that. And we had people who tried to get themselves killed. And you know what I'm talking about with
yeah,
clients. Yeah.
yeah. No, there's some a few crazies still in the back. But no, I remember watching some lady come out and just washing her thumb in the puddle, trying to get the ink off so she could vote again. There's definitely some shenanigans in Afghanistan for that stuff. But no, that was good. But that was a short contract, wasn't it, Chef? What were we on, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks on that one?
Yeah, I think that one. And then it rolled into that USAID thing.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So the USA stuff kicked on. I went off and worked operations and risk for a medical company that was very popular with the community out there at the time in the private sector. They had been utterly screwed by one of the big security companies that had done $104,000 worth of flying, and they claimed that they paid the bill and they weren't going
Right.
to pay it. And we're talking about a company that gets contracts with embassies and all this stuff. They pulled the whole, oh, you're a small Afghan company, we can get away with not paying you. Um, so that lasted for about 6 days of me being on the contract as I as I introduced them to everything that was about to be destroyed in their precious little lives, and we got paid. So that was kind of cool, but getting a little bit boring. And I saw opportunity out there, so I switched to a small consulting firm that I created with a couple of other guys, and we knew it was only for a short time. I mean, we weren't trying to become a security company. There's too many already, and also there's people with much more um, years and background, etc., that were running them. But what we did find was um, we would have clients that would need something like a 3-ton excavator, and the Afghans were just screwing them to be like, oh yeah, $80,000, and they couldn't get out there. So we would send an Afghan mechanic that we trusted and we're going to give a bonus to. Got the same excavator for $14,000 with repair. So I mean, there was this niche market of just being fixers in HR, procurement, and I mean, I think I did 3 Department of State security risk assessments, and that was enough because we were a small team.
Right.
Our paycheck was our profit, and occasionally then would be asked to jump onto a company just to do close protection for a couple of weeks or something like that. But we knew it was only going to last for a little while. But this comes into the next time we bumped heads professionally, and that was I got approached by Afghan security company, and they needed a whole bunch of expats. And I turned around and said, right, I'll charge X amount for each expat, no cutting on their salaries, and we'll go from there because I already had the Americans in mind, and the Hungarians I was getting together as well, and that's when you got your sword out, and the other lads, and a whole bunch of really cool Hungarians came out as well. And then yeah, I was doing the admin and trying to get the visas through, and we caught up in Dubai, didn't we? So
Yep.
that was the beginning of an of an interesting chapter. Man, we probably made these guys $4 million in like half a year. This was some serious contracts that we were having for sure. But I don't know if you want to elaborate to the listeners a little bit about some of the headaches and shenanigans we were talking about just before the podcast.
Oh yeah, I'll allude to or I'll tell about it. It was a combat outpost filled with a bunch of great guys. There was an ODA unit there, an infantry company. not really a company. I guess it was a, well, you know what? I think it was actually a company. I think it was like Company B or something. I've got pictures of it somewhere I've used before. But, anyways, the point is, it was a great contract. It was a moneymaker. They would have made, if what I start to go into, and you know this to be a fact, they would have made probably $8 million on that contract if it would have went for the full year, and
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
even more than that just for that one. I think it was, if I remember right, because I was the project manager on that one,
Yeah.
and they just wouldn't pay their men, and it causes issues with the Afghans, which I had enough issues with them, you know, because like one time two guys that worked in the kitchen got into a little bit of a knife fight. Of course, it was all superficial. The company commander of the infantry unit was there. Huh? Well, the company commander of
A
the,
little bit of an Afghan cat fight with knives.
yeah, with kitchen utensils, you know. So I had the LSA commander. I'm getting like pop-up noises from your side, brother. Like you're getting pop-ups from Facebook or something. Anyways, the
Yeah.
LSA commander, I had him go get the two cooks and bring the two knives to me, and he did. And here they come. You know, one's got a bandage on his little forearm, the other one has his bandage on his little hand or something. And you know, they were all superficial, not life-threatening. But you just have to know how to deal with them. So once I get this word, I'm like, okay. And they bring them up, and it's sort of in the vehicle park, but like from the ADOC, they could actually see it when they were, you know, outside. And I didn't realize the company commander was there until they came up. And I told the LSA commander, this is before I noticed, I said, give me the knives. And I looked at both of them. I got my translator there because, you know, I don't speak Pashto. I don't speak, you know, any of the languages they use there at all. I think Toshakur and stuff like that's about all I know, you know, the basics. And I have him translate exactly. And I said, translate this exactly. And he goes, what? As I gave them both the knives, and I said, kill each other. Do it now. And I pulled my gun out of my holster. And they just looked at me like, what? I said, kill each other. And the fucking company commander and the first sergeant go walking into the ADOC. And I noticed it when I heard stones moving. And I looked behind me, and I'm like, oh, shit, I'm going to hear about this. I never did hear about it. They both broke down crying. I'm sure they put it on camera. And they both broke down crying, and they said, we love each other. We're like brothers. They dropped the knives and give each other a hug. And I said, then don't pull this fucking drama with me. Next time you do, I'll put a bullet in your asses. And never had that kind of incident again. They understood.
Yeah, there's I know the word passionate comes into the culture here in Afghanistan, but I think there's also a lot of melodrama that comes into it as well. These fine people over here. So
Oh,
I
fuck
got
yeah.
a good
Just like,
story about how bad that company was. So yeah, every month payday comes in to this company. We haven't been paid by them for our services 3 months in, and we're going to do the classic. Look, we don't have it all, but we'll give you 50%. And I just looked at them and said, yeah, well, I'm not leaving Afghanistan. But then one of the owners comes in, goes into finance, opens the safe, and just takes all the cash and stomps out. And no one stops him. Like they've got armed guards and all this stuff. And literally every time they hear that some money's in, one of the owners would come in and just rip the cash out of the safe. And I'm looking at my Australian mate. We both know him. We both work with him. And I'm just like, mate, this group, they're going to lose their contracts. How can they run things like this? It's just it's madness. Here we are being professional as heck for them and making them a whole bunch of money, and they just can't you don't want to kill the goose that lays the golden egg, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, they had some doom to fail stuff going on with these guys, unfortunately.
Oh, they did, and they created a lot of problems, like food. Food runs, they'd always have an excuse. Oh, they couldn't send him a Yoon. It was always Dr. Nasari and his little bitch boy that I'd have to call. And it would always be the same thing,
Yeah,
man. We don't have Hamayun can't get past checkpoints. Hamayun can't, and I'm like, bullshit. I said, I tell you a full 2 weeks ahead of time that we need food. I mean, you don't know how many times I dipped in my own pocket to buy a sheep or to get some shit on the local economy. Because I could go walking out in town. They had like a little ville next to the cop. And I could go out there and unmolested. You know, I had my gun on, but nobody really ever dicked with me. I remember walking back with a sheep, and I think I got the picture somewhere where they butchered it, and I was there with them when they butchered it. They were super happy. I didn't mind dipping into my own pocket. I was making coin, you know that. But that happened quite a bit. And, I tried to take care of my guys. I wouldn't tolerate bullshit, but I also wouldn't tolerate bullshit from Nasari. And Nasari would always be a slow payer, after payday, even for the Afghans. And that was fine, whatever it is. It's the risk. You're always going to get paid if you work for the U.S. or the Brits or a Western nation. You don't have a problem with pay. But I've worked for, that being one of them, quite a few Afghan companies and Iraqi companies and other companies, and pay is always an issue, and it's never certain on any gig. I tell everybody, there's a fucking coming usually on every gig. And you're here, and you still basically live in Afghanistan. So you can verify that fact right now.
yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely true. Um, yeah, and they were notorious, and they lost the contracts in the end. What your base commander was just like, yeah, we're just canceling the contract. So I mean, man, you have to be a full retard to run a business like they did. It was just, yeah, it was a cluster,
Actually,
absolute
that
cluster on that one.
actually that was
Um,
not the base commander that shut that contract down. It was me. The guy that they brought me to replace, former special forces dude, great guy. I talked to him, and he's like, and Nasari, I'll never forget, at the intercon, pulled all of the the project managers in, and he had like 3 separate meetings: one with the project managers, one with the project managers and Hungarians, and the final one was, I think, with the Gurkhas that were going to be going out with us, and we had to be in all of them, right? PM or project managers had to be in all of them, and they had their little program director who was Afghan he couldn't find his ass with both hands, so that's why the program was
yeah,
fucked up. Anyway, so that was Nasari's bitch boy, the one that wore the oh shit, I got one of the jackets too, the Polish Helicon jacket. You remember those were in fashion back then,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
so Nasari and his bitch boy, I was like, hey, you're going to have to pay these men. We had a uprising one time, which we had enough Gurkhas and Hungarians. They had this strike they were going to pull, right? They were all going to go on strike. And it was like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon they were going to do it. And I said, well, we'll just shortchange it. And I was talking to Nasari. I'm like, look, boys, they're going to strike. And I said, if that happens, I've already told the Army we're having an issue. And I said, you guys have not been paying these guys. You got to fix this. And I mean, fix it. This is like a week out of this. And because I started hearing the rumors, because my translator would go to the LSA and eat, because he didn't trust the Americans wouldn't try to feed him pork. I mean, a lot of ridiculous drama. And of course we wouldn't. I would never do that. You know how we are, man. Light touch. Anyways, except for if they're getting stupid, then I'll get a little heavy on them. So anyways, the point was, um, they go to do their little. They're gonna do their strike thing. They're all getting excited. They were even. I talked to my Gurkhas, and I had them go around, and they're like, "Yeah, man," they're because they spoke the same language, and they're. I had them go around and check everybody and talk to them a little bit, and they're like, "Yeah, they're excited for the strike. They're just gonna leave the towers," but I'm thinking, they have access to guns while they're doing their roundabouts and whatnot. First thing I did was have everybody doing
Yeah.
all the mobiles come in, like I think it was 2:45, and I left one of the Gurkhas in there with them to collect all their guns, and we put them in the secured area, and I had him stand by the door with his weapon, and if any of them tried to get out, tried to make a move for a radio or anything, I said shoot them, because I didn't know if these guys were going to go blue on green. And the first sergeant had already started
Yeah.
moving his
No.
guys towards the towers, and so they're encapsulated with soldiers around them, but they couldn't see them because they were behind walls and stuff. And 15 minutes prior to, I tell Nasari, I said, I'm pulling them from the towers right now, brah. You're about to lose this contract. And we went out there 15 minutes till. It was like clockwork. We all hit the towers at the same time. We told them to get the fuck out. And we took the towers. On my tower, they had some Army guys come up. And I went with the first sergeant and the commander to the LSA. And all these guys are like rejoicing that they'd won or something. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. And I get on the phone with Nasari, and I said, all the men are now put in the LSA, bruh. I said, the Army's going to take over unless you fix this right the fuck now. And the first sergeant talked to him, and his guys jumping through hoops and said, the money will be there tomorrow, promised the guys. It did come. But the next month, he pulled the same shit. And I went up to the first sergeant. He was a great guy, and so was the captain, honestly. They really leaned in. When there was no food, they would give us, and they weren't supposed to do this, like apples, oranges, shit like that I could give to the guys.
Yeah.
They really leaned in for this project. And it's a damn shame because when they did it the next month, I looked at the first sergeant and I said, look, this is going to continue to happen, brother. I said, I can pull the pin on this. And he goes, or if you have the men, he goes, can you hold it off for maybe a month? I said, yeah, but we're going to deal with this one more time. And he goes, okay. He goes, I need a month to get my guys ready because our staffing's not up, and I got to get some from Zingabad. I'm like, that's cool. And so anyways, it goes by, and a week towards it, I told Nasari, I said, you're on borrowed time, bruh. I said, you failed to make another payment. I said, I'm going to shut this thing down if you don't pay in 1 week. That was the thing we agreed on. If they didn't pay a week, the day of payday, they had a week marker. And I said, at that week, after you miss that payment, it doesn't matter if you make the payment later or not, the job's over. I said, I've already discussed it with the Army. You're about to lose $8 million. And he goes, well, you can't do that. I said, I'm doing it right now. We'll replace you. And the first sergeant's right there. He says, give me the phone. He says, if you replace Shuff, he goes, your contract ends instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you got to get up with boys in green when they slap back on these shitty owners of these companies, man. Boys in green are above and beyond. Really good guys, especially down in Kandahar. That was a tough place. But yeah, like I said, man, I was in Kabul watching it, and you were on the ground watching it. It was you couldn't make a movie, you couldn't make it fictional at all. Yeah, it was definitely bizarre in Afghanistan.
Yes, it's a whole different world. But we did have a good time when we got not just the Gandermack that contract. What was the name of that club we went to? You knew the owner of it. We stayed all night at that club. It was the day before we were deploying.
Yeah. Okay. So I was going to bring that up. I'm actually about 150 meters away from the venue, um, and we had an option. We had the budget. We could have stayed in a nice hotel. Everyone went to bed at 8, or we could have just drunk hundreds of dollars of booze and paid $50 to sleep on the couches. So when
That's
you
what we
when you
did.
when you ask a bunch of contractors, what do you want your ops budget for the night to be spent on? It was getting shit faced and crashing out on the couches instead of the nice hotel bed. I think we made the professional choice there, Shuff. I think we really did.
I think it was the best choice. One of the funniest things is they left the booze. They had this real weird lock, but it was super easy to open, and they had left for the night. Remember, the owner was banging some blonde girl from America, I think. She was like
Yep.
a bass player or something. They had a band. I mean, I sang a song up there, Liquored Up. I think,
Yeah, you were informing the Afghans about how there's one God. That
yeah.
was like the last line of your song. It was brilliant. Then one of them started going, "Hello." Man, it was priceless. Absolutely, you couldn't make it up. You couldn't at all. It was
I'm sure
awesome,
that
and they love the shuff. Well, you did "Love Me Tender," didn't you? I'm sure you sang "Love Me Tender."
that's exactly the song I played
Is that
or
on
I
your
sang.
repertoire?
Huh?
Yeah, it's on your repertoire. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
one of my favorite songs, and but they had the music did not go along with the song at all. If you
yeah,
remember, they were just jamming, and I still kept my pace. I didn't let them, but it actually sounded pretty good. I think you and one of my Hungarians actually taped that.
yeah, yeah. The Hungarian taped it for
Yeah.
sure, 100%. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about as well. Yeah, and that's when I realized you're a beautiful human being, Chuck. Like there's
Of
a beautiful side
course.
to you.
Of course, a tender side, but no. The funniest thing was when they left that night, their lock was real odd and it was real shoddy.
Yeah,
So I was able to manipulate it because they shut down the bar, motherfuckers.
yeah. How dare they?
And I got out a bottle of Jack and I continued to drink all night until the next morning. It was fucking awesome flying in that Black Hawk going out to the cop, hungover as a motherfucker. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think everyone else in that helicopter had some kind of zero alcohol compliance to do, but I didn't see it in the paperwork for us on that one. You technically weren't on base yet either. General Order Number One for the contractors didn't quite kick in just yet. No, that was fantastic. That was a good mobilization for sure. Good times. But yeah, Shuff singing "Love Me Tender." You got to do it sometime for the troops listening. You got to do a little short podcast of the Shuff soundtrack, so to speak. There's an idea for the future. Just throwing it there. You can take it.
Well, only if I can get the excellent backup musicians from the venue. Is that place still even around, dude? That was an
You know what?
epic little area, though. Nobody would have known. It was dead in the middle of an Afghan neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. It was nuts. But the thing is, they do takeaway. But I'm sure I can razz up in the next couple of months a few Afghan musicians to do the musical of "Love Me Tender" and get it your way. I'll do that for Shuff.
That'll work.
One, yeah, yeah. Let's do it. Let's do a catch up with that being promised to the listeners there.
Well, first, we'll have to get really good on the piss during the podcast, and then they'll get the epic "Love Me Tender, Love Me Sweet." You remember that, brah? Except I had
No,
an epic mic. That mic they had, damn, dude, that place, that was uh, that was mighty fucking. I remember just out the patio on it, man.
yeah,
It was so much different than Gandermack because they had sunflowers. I mean, like 9-foot sunflowers surrounding it. They had
yeah,
these like
yeah.
tarps covering, but I mean they look good. So it probably sounds fucked up to the people, but they had
No,
these.
imagine a Banksy influenced hipster joint before hipsters came out
Oh
at all.
yeah,
I think So that's kind of the that's kind of the gist of it. Yeah, no, it's really cool. A lot of memories of the place. A lot of musicians come through. In fact, Joss Stone just came through, a musician
Yeah, I know who
recently.
Josh Stone is. Yeah, I remember hearing her music.
Yeah, she did it right. She came in, she checked out the humanity goals that she had, didn't tell anyone, played music, and then fucked off. Um, as opposed to going full fucking Bono and having the cameras on him straight away, like the douchebag he is. So yeah, no, she was really cool. I missed out that night in catching up with her, but it is what it is, mate. So I'm trying to think. So what's the next chapter, mate? I'm looking at Uzbekistan and Afghanistan for the next few years, but 50% in the US. You know, my green card is on its way. Fingers crossed. I'm doing it right. I'm not jumping a fence or a wall that it might end up being.
Right.
Yeah, so that's on the cards. You know, I got happily married in between the last job. And I got two amazing angel step kids who are my kids now. Yeah, nothing's going well, mate. You know, but you know, we're hard workers for our families, and the fruits of our labor eventually come. And so, yeah, I know I'm getting it now, I guess. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah, Afghanistan now, 4th of July. I'll be back in the States.
well, that'd be awesome. For July, you just have to get a hold of old Chuffy, and I'll lower the drawbridge for you personally and throw some meat on the Barbie. I will tell you this. You know this, and several other people know this. There's very few contracts I'll bounce to. But and that's another thing. I tried to tell everybody how contracts. All these people fill out applications all the time. I'm like, the best contracts are usually somebody calling you up and like, what are you doing? Are you working? Yes, no. If you're not working, what do you want to come work? Yeah, what kind of job? I tell them this all the time and they don't get it. You just say what kind of job, they'll tell you static, PSD, whatever, and you're like,
Right, right.
okay, I like it. And they'll say, okay, we're gonna give
Mm.
you an e-ticket, and then you're gonna fly out. And they ask you where you live, home of record. I do ask them usually, just like with the company, the people I've worked with. I don't have to do it anymore, but I always would say, is it legal or illegal? I want to know.
Yeah,
If they say illegal, I'm not doing it.
yeah.
But uh, if I agree to the terms, I'm like,
Well,
cool.
I'm just charging 20.
Well, you know, I I never talk money either. Money comes once I'm in Dubai, and then we're like, okay, what's the coin?
Yeah, yeah, I got you. Yeah, no, it's interesting. You know, the Aussie I'm talking about, my angelfish from Iraq and from the army. I remember getting him out here, and I had to ring his mum. The lad's 40 years old. I had to ring his mum and say, "Where's your son right now?" And oh, just working at this factory. Tell him to take a sickie, go to McDonald's, get his laptop, go to McDonald's because you didn't have Wi-Fi. This is so many years ago. Use the McDonald's Wi-Fi and get your fucking CV to me because your son's flying to Afghanistan this weekend.
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, cool." So when it happens, man, it happens. The green light happens, and fuck you're not, yeah, you're talking to the little book of a very short list of people that you truly trust and you want out there, to do the job. Yeah, fuck this blind hiring on ZipRecruiter. That's never how it's going to be for me. That's for sure. So yeah, no, you guys mobilize great. 110% from you guys. But as we talked about the insanity of some of these companies, you can only save them so many times from themselves, and then they eventually just end up in prison.
Yeah, well,
so,
Nasari did, didn't he?
yeah, no, crazy times, man, but good times.
Nasari ended up in prison,
Yeah,
didn't he?
yeah, no, that was a yeah, I think for neglect on a contract. It was an Afghan government contract, and they neglected the site, didn't help the expat out, didn't help the guards out, and the Afghan government, I think, for the first time ever, charged people with neglect. Which is great. Because these motherfuckers really screwed it up. And the expat wasn't backed, and the guards on the ground weren't backed, and it was a horrible terrorist attack on that one. So yeah, the guy's a piece of shit and he's in jail now, from my understanding. So
Well,
a little bit of justice, I guess you can say.
I believe it
Not a,
happened after that last contract or before that last contract. But I remember you, me, and another mate of ours that, we're not going to mention his name. We did for the Intercon
yeah.
hotel, we did the site security report also. And I remember all of us walking back
Right.
behind where the pools were and stuff, and I'm like, this is where they're going to attack. And when the Intercon did get attacked, and that was after our
Yeah.
contract, but then it got attacked later on,
Yeah.
and then they rebuilt it by the time, and actually it didn't even look the same. It lost, of course, the elevators still are hardly working, but the thing about the Intercon was they got attacked exactly the way you, me, and him said this is how the attack will go, and it went exactly that way. So I always wonder,
Yeah.
because of the company we worked for, if somebody didn't copy that report and actually feed it to somebody. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. No, no, totally. When you're red teaming, it's not hard, um, especially when information has to be shared to your boss and your boss is Afghan. And sadly, this happens. But I mean, like, they were meant to act on these things. So yeah, it's a very sad story, that one. You know, you can only tell them so many times, man. To do things right, or people will die, and then people die and they still don't get it. So yeah, no, very sad story, mate, on that one. Extremely sad.
Is the Intercon still neglecting its security like it used to, or did it actually tighten up? It was a little tighter when I was there, but how many years has it been since I've stayed at the Intercon? I think it was
Yeah, yeah, no,
with you guys.
yeah, no. Once they got done for neglect, I think some of the foreign governments helped assess it and push for the Afghan government to do things much better, because it was just a constant vulnerability there. Because it was such an icon as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a reason to go up there these days, but from driving past and all that, yeah, I think it's done some. I think they've done some good now, just at a horrible expense, for the multiple times it's been attacked. But yeah, man, like these companies exist. We warn the listeners. Um, not every company out there actually gives a shit. The problem is they get good people like us that do, and we're a dog at the bone. We're not going to suddenly turn off and just accept that these guys are non-compliant and all that. So this is when criminals meet professionals, I guess you could say. This is the problem they're always going to have, I think,
Oh, it will
in our
be.
trade.
I guarantee, brother, in this trade, well, you know how it works. I mean, I don't want to get into all of it, but you know what I'm talking about without me saying it. Uh, there's some issues
Yeah,
that I see,
yeah,
but it always comes from it starts out with the paymaster, and then if the paymaster is switched and you have an unknown paymaster, that's when the problems usually start, because everybody thinks I can make more money if I can do this, if I can still, if I can move people, if I can move drugs, if all these things start going through the paymaster's mind, and then it trickles down into people. And if they got no integrity, they got no morals, they got no ethics, then that can be a certain shit sandwich, a soup of toxic shit. And luckily,
yeah.
knock wood, when I've been faced with it, I've been able to. I just had to knock some wood. Sorry about that, bro. If you heard that. Um, but in all honesty, uh, luckily, everybody I've ever worked with has been able to say, shut it down, fuck it. We'll nuke this thing from orbit. I mean, it doesn't matter. In the end, money's good, but
Yeah.
also, what are you going to do? Sacrifice your integrity or honor For money, I don't think so. And I know you won't. And that's another thing in the game. There used to be a very small group of people that would collaborate and get together for different jobs. And there was trust um, in everything because we all knew each other. And with the advent of dropping wages for everybody,
Yeah,
it's brought in the worst common denominator, and it's brought in less trained people. Go ahead.
yeah, no, totally. The embassies really, really changed out here, and it sucks. It really does. And the guys are so stressed out because they're not concentrating on the job and all this stuff. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough time for some of these bigger contracts for sure. With the shit they've pulled, yeah, we've definitely hit the critical point where it's now affecting the services provided, which is unfortunate.
Exactly, brother. Exactly, and that's something where honest talk really needs to happen. I'm always a fan of shoot me straight. My hillbilly ass. Shoot me straight, and we'll figure it out. We
Yeah,
can work through. A problem has the solution built into it. Just tell me the problem, and we'll work into it. It's no different than two guys that I know because of their wounds. They weren't trying to kill each other. They're not going to kill each other. Now, did I think they might turn on me and kill me? Fuck yeah, that's why I pulled my
yeah,
gun out of my holster before I gave them the knives. So, there you go. But,
yeah.
you know, um, it's just difference in the way you handle people. And like I did on a show yesterday with Radiant Creators host Kurt, or I'm sorry, Greg, um, I told him, I said, there's a difference between leadership and management. And it's a watershed. And a good leader will hire a good manager if he's not both. Okay, yep. Folks, we are about to wrap, and I will let Bezzah tout anything he wants to plug or whatever. And it's his time. You have the closeout for it, brother. I will put the music and everything. Or actually, I won't close out with music on this one. Um, I'll just close down the castle, and then we'll talk offline.
Sure. Thanks so much, Chef. I guess your listeners know you at different degrees. There's 50 shades of Chef, definitely. Um, I've had a massive pleasure working with Chef um, many times over the decade that we've known each other. I know there's another contract coming up where we're going to both be working at Brother, and uh, and I'm looking forward to that one more than anything else. So, guys, thanks for listening in. Ping, Shuff, any questions? If you want to know anything on the ground that's happening, from music to war, whatever. I'm still in Afghanistan. I'll be celebrating 4th of July back in the land of the free for a couple of weeks. But yeah, hook up with Shuff. Shuff will swing the questions to me, and yeah, stay safe. And if you're out in this neck of the woods, say hi, or keep your head down at least. Shuff, great to chat with you as always. Thanks, mate.
Awesome talking with you, brother Bezzah. With that being said, thank you guys for stopping by Kaiser's Castle, enjoying your coffee, tea, soda, or adult beverage on my big orange couch. I'm lowering the drawbridge, and Kaiser's Castle is closing out. God bless, be well, be safe. Shuff out.